Tashdile and welcome to Tibet This Week, a weekly news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's look at the headlines. His Holiness the Dalai Lama concludes 3-day teaching. Children today hope for better tomorrow, says His Holiness the Dalai Lama. European perspective on His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Tibet, a virtual panel discussion. Tibetan youth leaders discuss prospects of Tibetan democracy. Taiwan Minister Yiong and MPs mark the 60th Tibetan Democracy Day. Switzerland supports Tibet's concerns, says Zurich Canton Councilor Fehr. His Holiness the Dalai Lama concluded a 3-day teaching on Gyaltse Thogme Sangpo's 37 practices of Bodhisattva and Je Tsongkhapa's 3 principal aspects of path on Friday last week. The teaching was requested by Buddhist students from 6 Asian countries: Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Hong Kong.
So in the 400 verses, it says, just as the physical faculty permeates all other faculties, likewise ignorance permeates all other destructive emotions. Although there are practices such as overcoming attachment through the meditation on the repulsive nature of a body and so forth, and dispelling or overcoming anger through meditation on loving kindness.
Invited as one of the key speakers at the Fehr for Children's Summit on Wednesday this week, His Holiness the Dalai Lama mentioned that the children of this generation are the main protector of the world and the conveyor of peace. His Holiness expressed concern over the social disparity between the rich and the poor.
So, the children, please pay more attention about the reduce this gap, rich and poor. That's my main concern, and I want to share with you, whether you call you yourself as a socialist or not. So we have to think humanity. Then particularly those poor people, they really need, help.
Office of Tibet Brussels hosted a virtual panel discussion on the theme European Perspective on His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Tibet on Friday last week. The panelists were Dr. Lobsang Singye, President of Central Tibetan Administration, members of the European Parliament, Mikulas Peksa, Chair of the Tibet Interest Group in the European Parliament, MP Samuel Kogolati, Vice Chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Belgian Federal Parliament, and Mr. Tashi Finsok, representative of His Holiness the Dalai Lama to the European Union. President Singye gave a global perspective on the role of Europe in the present international geopolitical scenario.
And we hope that the European Union and European Parliament will be also in the forefront to raise the issue of Tibet, because His Holiness visited Strasbourg a few decades ago, and he made this historic major speech, which is called Strasbourg Proposal. When I went to Europe and even in Brussels, some people don't know that one of the most significant document which matters to Tibet is called Strasbourg Proposal, and many people in Brussels don't know about it. So I hope that interest and the support and awareness about Tibet in Europe will grow, and European parliamentarians and leaders like you will play a major role in making Tibet a priority as far as European Union is concerned.
The European Parliament has clearly positioned itself and the EU to urge China to review its policies in Tibet. It calls to follow the laws and regulations to keep human rights over there and political rights of the people living in Tibet.
In my view, Belgium and the European Union should send a very clear signal to China to respect and protect the human rights of Tibetan people.
Tibetan issue is unlike other political issues or international or commercial issues, is the issue of truth and justice. And for that, I think we have received enough and proper attention from the European countries.
The Office of Tibet London, in collaboration with the Tibetan community in Britain, hosted a webinar titled Tibetan Democracy, dedicated to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama on Tibetan Democracy Day. The panel discussion aimed at generating greater awareness in the Tibetan youth about the evolution of Tibetan democracy. It is also a part of CTA's celebration of the year 2020 as Gratitude Year for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The discussion saw the importance of Tibetan youth's participation in the political system of the country that they live in and the responsibilities and challenges faced by young Tibetans abroad in participation in Tibetan democracy. Taiwan Minister Yiong of Hakka Affairs Council and the parliament members attended the celebration of the 60th anniversary of Tibetan democracy and hailed the successful celebration of the Year of Gratitude to His Holiness the Dalai Lama by the Office of Tibet, Taiwan. As the chief guest of the event, Minister Yiong extolled the Tibetan democratic evolution in the past 60 years. He also expressed his hope to visit the Central Tibetan administration along with the other members of the Parliamentary Group for Tibet. Zurich Canton Councilor Fehr flags off Tibetan Peace March from Zurich to Geneva, initiated by 5 Tibetan peace marchers, Tenam Phinsok, Pempa Tsiring, Tashi Namgyel, Gelek Namgyel, and Lupsang Tsangmada.
It's Tibet! Hey, no.
Tibet belongs to Tibetan. Tibet belongs to Tibetan.
The Peace March will cover around 300 kilometers with the objective to appeal the federal government of Switzerland and the United Nations to hold China accountable for the egregious human rights violations being carried out in Tibet and the other territories under the regime of the Chinese government. The peace marchers will submit petitions to the UN, Swiss federal government, as well as the Chinese embassies. The Tibetan community of Zurich has organized a peace march from Zurich to Geneva via Bern, starting from 8th September 2020 and arriving in Geneva on the 18th September 2020. So much for today. See you next time and have a great weekend.